Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Lara and I'll be there as a tech support during the tutorial. I want to introduce you to our tutor Radovan Bacovic. He's a staff engineer, data engineer at GitLab, and he will hold the Fall in Love with Data Transformation as your new weapon of choice tutorial. Enjoy.
Yep, cool, Lara. I think I can start, right? Great.
Yes.
Okay, cool, folks. Hello, everyone. One more time. Good morning. Yeah, this is a great start of Data Science Conference. In case you're wrong show by mistake, we will talk about the DBT, actually my weapon of choice when it comes to data transformation. What is DBT? It's, I think, the #1 growing tool in the data world these days. So actually it helps you a lot with your use case to have a single source of truth for data transformation part. Okay, let's start. Official, I think, title is DBT tutorial from 0 to hero in 90 or 120 minutes or 2 hours to be precise. So yeah, it does define some ground rules. As I said, duration 90 minutes plus 15 minutes break in between, plus 10 minutes at the end for Q&A session, whatever you want to ask me. You can use this opportunity or you can ping me on LinkedIn or everywhere else. I will leave my comments later on. Please be muted by default. Probably it will be plenty of us, so it will be a bit noisy or messy if you're talking at the same time. Respect that. Q&A, if you want to stop me at any moment, use Zoom chat, and I will try to take a break and answer your question as soon as possible when it makes sense. Of course, to align with my company and my own philosophy, all resources from today's tutorial, it's for you there, and also you can see in the chat presentation for this tutorial, including code, documentation, video recording for prior session, all codes you need, all explanation, and all images you need. It's there, so you can easily reproduce actually what we're talking about there. And of course, don't forget to enjoy this course. Let's start. Agenda will start with an intro about what DBT is and move through installation. So this will be hands-on tutorial. Please do not spend too much energy to try follow me up here about what you want to do, actually what I'm doing, but you can do it in your pace, in your room, your office, whatever you want. So just see what's going on here. Then we'll talk about project setup, how to up and running DBT project, how to connect with the database, check your connectivity. Then we'll talk about way of persistence, what DBT can provide for you, using of the schema. Then we'll take a break, grab a coffee, do whatever you want, and move to documentation. Then something called macros in DBT, but actually it's a routine function procedures and code reusability in general. Later on, we will run the project, talk about automatization, try to conclude something, and also at the end, I will provide the further resources for you, what you can follow up on this, and actually you can use this project as your baseline for your own research regarding DBT. Intro. What is DBT? As I said, DBT is your single source of truth for transform of your data. DBT is not the tool you will drag data around from server A to server B or from environment A to environment B, but it's more to transform your data inside the one instance or one environment. For instance, if you use Snowflake as your single source of truth for database, you will do all your transformation there. You will not drag the data around. Actually, if you have ETL process, DBT will stand for T as transformation, not for E, extract, or L as a load. What kind of problem DBT want to sort out? You know, we have data engineers like me, we have data scientists, visualization engineers, analytics engineers, machine learning engineers, AI, all this fancy stuff these days. We are talking about the data, we are working with the data, but somehow we always misunderstand or we have some discrepancy in the data. Why? Because we do not use single source of truth and we don't use the same dictionary or philosophy or spotlight or angle how we talk about the data. DBT try to sort out this kind of problem. Everything what we're doing regarding T transformation will be in one simple or single project, and all of us can speak the same language and understand each other almost automatically and it's out of the box. Then DBT provide SQL statements. If you know SQL, it's more than enough to jump and start using DBT. Plus Ginger templates, so you can create the placeholders, and on top of that, if you need something more advanced, more fancy, you can jump with Python. Of course, all of these stuff are wrapped up in one ID environment, and also you can do your favorite Git tool, GitHub, GitLab, whatever you want, and version of the project. So this is a collaborative tool because more than one engineer dozens of them can do on a single source of truth on one project simultaneously, and also do the magic outside the box. Of course, you can automate the things, you can test the things using CI/CD, and you can reduce data downtime because you can easily do non-stop continuous deployment and development in DBT. And of course, this is business oriented. You can speak very simple, non-technical language to the business and try to not scare them too much, because you have really good solution and documentation outside of the box. So magic happens here. Ginger templates, SQL, Python, automatization, and speak with the business in their language. So it's very easy to translate business requirement. So if you're having constant metrics, when you argue with the business, like, okay, this is 2, and for them, this is 10, what is the truth? Now you'll try to get out and sort out this kind of problem. And of course, you will not have the process bottlenecks, because you will use only one tool for all the data you need, and everything should be versioned and will stay in the control so anyone can reproduce the product. Installation. For sake of this tutorial, or generally for my projects, I'm using something called Poetry, and it's fairly good and cute package manager for Python, where you can actually define what you need for your project, like here. Also put some nice description about your project, like DBT tutorial is the name of the project, I'm the author, this is initial version, and so on and so on, and also what I require to build the system. With the Poetry itself, first, what I need to do is to install that Poetry. I did it up front just to be sure everything is working fine. And you can imagine, once when I'm download this, I can do something like Poetry update. On the first run, you should do install, because Poetry will install all libraries you need for DBT project upfront for you, and everything will be ready to it. But here I want to do Poetry update. It means, okay, I have a set of libraries downloaded. If something is changed, I will run update. And after a few seconds, we will see something need to be updated, and Poetry will do automatically for you outside of the box, so you don't need to worry about that. After that, what I want to check? I want to check, is my connectivity to the database and setup and DBT is installed properly. I will stop this just to save some time for me. If I say Poetry run DBT --, version, I want to check what actually I installed on my machine using Poetry and using initial installation for the project. So I initialize the project here. See, everything is green, which is good. It means I have the latest version of DBT currently on this day is 1.7.2. It's outdated. And also I use 2 plugins for Snowflake database, because I will use all of these tutorials and results using Snowflake. This is what you should pay it for, but actually I'm using 1 month's free trial. Also, I suggest and try to force or persuade you to do the same. Why? Because it's really popular database, really good for the data processing, data transformation, ML work, data science work, many other use cases. Actually, it's a data ecosystem. And of course, for 1 month, you can play a bit and see what is your needs for that. Second option is something very free, very open source, called DuckDB, a really rising star in world of analytics databases. You can install it locally. Also, there is a paid SaaS version, and everything you can do on Snowflake, you can fairly just easily port it to DuckDB. Also, I have everything up to date here. So it means I install Poetry, I update my libraries, I check my DBT installation, and it's fine. The next stuff, what I want to do is Poetry run DBT debug. I define connection to the database. In this case, it is Snowflake, and also all other components, packages, and library I need to run my project. Inside my project, if I press or type command debug and run it, it will invoke actually the checks about connectivity, components, packages, objects, just to be sure everything is in a good way. This is how you should start. This is fairly easy. Maybe it sounds complex for you because you face with this for the first time, but actually DBT will do everything for you. You see, it's all green here, its connection and test is running fine. After installation, I want to do a DBT setup. In this README, I provided 2 options, Snowflake and DBT, up to you and your preference. What is also good stuff here? You use the same, exactly the same project, and you can use it in several databases. Of course, it's not going to be always one-on-one to port it from one to another database, but generally speaking, most of the things are under ANSI SQL standard. So actually, I will do everything using Snowflake setup. Then I can switch easily to DB and run actually the same project. Project is simple. It's just a, let's say, placeholder or some for sure showcase, but still just to give you the power and capabilities of DBT. Actually, we run DBT debug and how things are going. I want to have a DBT setup. It's fairly simple to define your connectivity. There is something in DBT called profile YAML file. In your YAML file, you have DBT tutorial section or DBT tutorial.db. What you need to do is just to define properties here. I want to hide my password here for security reason. And let's say in this YAML file, I want to say, okay, I have a target called DBT tutorial.db. My target is development. Actually, this is not production. And output is in the environment is .db driver path to my file or to Snowflake database with follow-up credentials, username, password, warehouse, schema, and so on and so on. And then initial schema for me is something called row. Fairly easy to define. After that, the second secret sauce is something called config file. So first thing, I define connection to my database. Second thing, I jump into the DBT project and say, okay, my project is called DBT tutorial, and my profile is also called DBT tutorial, which is actually matching to these credentials here, and tell me where I want to transform the data and when my source of the data is. As we said, DBT is transforming the data inside one and one. It's not dragging the data around. Of course, inside the config file, great stuff about this tool is you can have a general setting, and also you can do an override on a local model. So this is a general configuration I set for my project. Like, okay, I have tags. I want to tag all of my projects and models here. And let's say for row schema, prep and prod schema, actually what I still it as the best practice for the data world. If you want to model data, it's best to have some kind of row schema, prep, then prod. Raw means everything is as it is, just put the data in and extract them there. For transformation purpose, you have a prep or preparation layer, and then what you want to provide and serve to your business is actually, you can be found in production, product production layer. The different name for that is something called bronze, silver, and gold layer, but here, let's stick with the notation raw, prep, and prod. For that reason, I want to tag everything with my DBT tut and also with prep or prod. Something regarding tags, we'll talk about that later, but this is a great way to start your project because your project will scale if your business is going good and you need to determine what this is about. You can put tags based on data sources, frequency of your load, department, users of the data, consumers of the data, or combination of all this stuff. It's up to you to be very disciplined and have a great label hygiene on that. And also, what I want to say, materialization. For sake of this tutorial, I would say all material stuff in prep should be table, and everything in prod I want to serve to the business should be view. For people who are not super familiar with SQL or databases and RDBMS, Relational Database Management System, or I don't know, MPP Database Management System, table means physical storage on the disk and its representation in the database. View is logical creation of table, and it's not stored never in the disk. It's just generated data and serve the data for you in the moment when you call the view. And let's do select start from that view. Okay. Test connection. This is already done using this command, debug. One more time to be sure everything is there. I prepare upfront test data for you in Snowflake. So actually, we are sure here, yep, we have connection, which is super cool. Then I go to my Snowflake dashboard and also my workplace and want to say what? Database, schemas, sample table. We'll talk about this today about customer, nation, orders, and also add a few more columns for updated and set update for the current step. This is important because we know we want to know actually what we load in the database. If I run all of this, I will generate the simple schema. Okay, let's run it. And after a few seconds, because there is 50 million records, let's say for orders, it's pretty big for this sample. I will transfer the data where? I will transfer the data inside my database called DBT tutorial DB, and I will have a raw schema with initial data, still loading. See my tables. This is still going. What is very nice feature about this? You see this, there is no prep nor prod layer. DBT will generate that automatically. And that's a nice feature. So even if you transform or translate the data from one database to another, if you have your source raw, everything should be regenerated easily. So you see 50 million records for orders and probably less than nation and customer. And that's it. So we are ready to start now. So we already do our preparation in our homework. So now we can move on and do a project setup. About configuration, global and local, and project structure. We already talked about Snowflake database. We generate the sample data here, and we have only raw layer. Prep and prod does not exist anymore. And we'll show you the magic later, how to do generated the models automatically. Let's talk about project structure. When you initiate DBT project outside of the box, what you will have in your project. I'm in my folder called DBT tutorial. That's the name of the project. What I have? I have images just to show you in README what is the output of my code. Then I have something called logs, because it's yellow, it's generated by the program, and everything told me what's going on when I run my DBT. Macros, it's about code reusability. If you have repetition of your code and you want to avoid it, you can create a macro like in Excel or in any other programming language. Actually, it's just a function. In that function, you should combine SQL, Jinja, and if you need something really advanced, Python. But even without Python, you can survive. Magic happened here. It's called models. And I divide my models in prep and prod. Prod, this is what I will serve for the business, and prep is something I want to prepare, clean the data, check the data, test the data, and give actually meaningful shape of the data plus few enrichments. And what the model is, it's a really main component in our project. Models stay for SQL, table, or view. And actually, how it's going. In DBT project YAML, I say materialization for prep layer is table. And I can easily override it with these square brackets here. So if you're talking about persistence and in models, it can be table, view, and it can be incremental. What is incremental? Incremental is a special way. It will be saved as a table, but I will only transform the data in incremental mode. So if I transform the data from raw to prep, and I'm done with yesterday's data, I will next time load only the missing data. In that case, I can save some money, because if you run this on Snowflake, it will cost storage and compute cost. And you can imagine if you have 50 million records each day and you want to transform each 15 millions each day, it can be massive amount of data, it can be costly. If you say here, okay, my materialization is just incremental, and I have very close condition here, what actually is missing and what I want to gap in between and transform it, it will be easier, because then you load only incremental. This is one typical structure of the model. This is not mandatory step, it's called config. And I said materialization is incremental instead of table, which is actually stored here on global level. And I want to define unique key, it's called ID. Because my model is called customer dedupe source. It means if I have duplicate data, I want to get rid of duplication. And in case I have two similar records, I want to take the most recent one. It's very easy to check. If I go to my raw layer, I say, give me customers. The data are already GDPR compliant, hidden, masked, whatever. You see customer key, name, address, key, phone, the comments and everything else. It's plenty of them. I just pick up the 10 first records randomly to show you the text. Because this customer key will become ID in my world, because it's more real for me, it makes more sense to call something ID generally, not C_cust key. And this should be unique, because I know this is a primary key. So this is configuration part of your model. Next part is typical SQL statement. what I want to do, select something and give the proper data type. This is a raw data. I don't know what is inside, but I'm sure ID should be integer here. Name should be varchar. Same goes with address and other attributes or other columns here. So you can put as mnemonic here, something to be more readable. And then this is super important. From where? Also, instead of this, I can say X row, then customer. But what is the catch? This is the full name. This is something I hard-coded here instead of using a reference. This is cool, this will work, but the problem is if something change, hard code is a problem. It's very difficult to maintain. We'll talk about this reference later and why you should use this instead of hard code the object name. Later on, I want to put Jinja template, very simple. So this is Jinja, percentage and something in between. It will be translated as a code. I would say if it is incremental, and obviously it is because I specified it like this, I have updated that greater or equal than something what actually was updated from this. If you know Java, you know what this means. Actually, it's reference to the current object. In other words, to translate it to plain Serbian or English, this means, okay, give me the transformation only for incremental data. Fairly easy to recognize what was not transformed in the prep layer from, let's say, yesterday. If I run it today, I will have the full data set for the first time. If not, I will do only incremental load for tomorrow's data. And of course, magic happened here for get rid of duplicate data. And I would say, okay, we'll use Windows function to pick up only the latest record here. Not very difficult to understand, but actually this is some pattern you should use. Of course, this can become a macro and do a code reusability. So this is a components or building blocks of one typical models. Not all of these features or items are mandatory, but this is a typical good stuff. Deduplicate the data, do incremental load, save some money for you in the company, and actually give some meaning to the data, enrich the data, put everything in a proper order, do a naming convention, and so on. And also refer to the reference. Then, regarding the project structure, we have something called seeds. I use one sample like region, CSV as a seed. Seed means this is a static data, will not change frequently, like countries, continents, regions, currency list or something like that. Seeds are basic stuff. It will be stored inside your project despite the database you choose, so you can easily reproduce or call the seeds. Now, if you go to the raw data, I can see only samples data customer nation nodes. I have no seeds uploaded yet. How I can do that? I can say poetry, run, DBT, seed. It means all seeds, one file in this case, will be transferred and uploaded to the database, actually in the same order. In other words, I translate CSV files from my project to Snowflake raw database or whatever, where I define. If you go to DBT project YAML file, a general specification and configuration of the project, I can say seeds will have tag DBT2 and see what's going on here. I'm running my DBT. I start loading my seed, and after a few seconds, everything is done successfully. So it passed fine, without warnings, without errors, keeping in total 1 for 1, 100% successful. Well, where is my region? If I refresh, you will see region here. Also, I can check my data. And it's there, from 0 to 4, Africa, America, Asia, etc., etc. So this is what seed stands for. Despite of the target database, you can have everything you need in your project as a single source of truth. Regions, currencies, deploy, whatever which is changed infrequently can be a good candidate to store it in very simple CSV file, JSON file, TSV file, Parquet file in seeds. This folder is going outside of the box. DBT project YAML file, we already mentioned this, but still just to rephrase, all regarding general and global configuration on the project level should be stored here. you can easily override it. Depends on the use case and specific situation per model level or sub-project level. But generally speaking, put tags here, put schemas here, and what you want to materialize here and how. README file, something outside of the box. I have my own with all specification what we're talking about today. And something called selectors YAML. We'll touch this later, so please, let's keep it for now. After we explain the project structure, let's move to another component. It's called persistence. Let's go back to our model. It's called customer dedupe source. And then we explain the building blocks of this. You notified something as a Ginger template with double square brackets on the both sides and something we call source row customer. Doesn't make too much sense for you, but as I said, also you can use everything to say, okay, I want to call it like row customer and delete this part, but this doesn't make sense. Why? Source said, I want to pick up the source from one place from DBT project. And it's something called, if you go to models, prep, something called source YAML file. Also very simple YAML specification when you can see, okay, in my schema row, in other words, from here, this is the source I want to use for. And instead of hard code table name in each model, you can imagine in GitLab, we have more than 3,000, 2,500 models. We just use this. And I said, okay, from source row, which will be translated, okay, go to source, find the section row and customer, okay, find the item customer. And actually, I have it identified called customer. It means DBT tutorial row customer. If I change the table from customer to customer all or customer something like this, I will change it only in one place. Everything else should be transferred or propagated automatically. So this is a good start. For that reason, we have something called source YAML file. This is also a building block of our model or our project. So warmly suggest to all of you, use this construction, use reference instead of hard coding. It will make your life easier. When you start, up to you what you want to use, but how your project will scale, it will be much harder to maintain the project. So think about that generic approach. Okay, I want to have source YAML file with nice tags here. So actually I can find what I need in my command line. And then my row schema, it's my single source of truth for beginning to start transformation, right? Then what we have, we talk about seeds, tables, increment, view, full refresh, and later on we'll talk about testing. We touch the seeds. If frequently changed data should be part of your project, not somehow part of some secret script. It can be lost, it can be misunderstood, it can be wrongly forgotten, and then that's a problem with your project. We talk about the table, physical persistence of your disk in your RWMSS or MPP system, then very good option or very good hint for you to save some money. Use incremental as a special case for table persistent. Load the data only incrementally what is missing in prep or prod layer. View, logical representation. This is cool if you have something not so heavy, you just want to serve the data to the business. In that case, maybe you should consider, okay, I want to create a view. What is full refresh in DBT? You have a model. And I want to do incremental load. In case I change the structure, there is some problem with the data regenerated, or I drop the column, add the column, rename the table, whatever. I will go for the full refresh. When I run the project, I will show you how to do that. But generally speaking, for you to recognize and be familiar with that, full refresh means start from the scratch. If I do incremental load for 100 days in a row, and I add new column, and I want to do a backfill for that new column, I will type dbt run, my model name, full refresh, boom, and it will drop actually the current table and start everything on the scratch. From next day, without full refresh, it will continue where it started. Testing is defined outside of the box in DBT. Reference is super important. Why? Because it prevents me to do very large find replace command in my project if something has been changed. I have single source of truth for my sources. So this is from where I get the data. And this data will land some. For that reason, I use reference here And also there is one file, it's called schema YAML. Schema YAML is on the other side of my model. So you have on the source side something called sources. You have your model or models, and then you have schema YAML. In schema YAML, what I did, we mentioned test here. And also test, I want to incorporate it in my logic in my project. So I want to run my models, I want to test my models, I want to check the quality of my data if something is missing. Schema YAML start very simple with properly labeled hygiene about the tagging. So this is my prep layer, and this is the DBT tutorial. I can easily find what I need later on. I have models in schema YAML file. So I want to define what my output and result of transformation is. I have the same for prod layer, but let's stick now with the prep layer. You see the duplication schema and sources. So you can easily follow up. You can have 10 layers if you want, but I think 3 is sufficient. Definition of schema YAML file is, okay, I have customer dedupe source model, nation dedupe source, name, order dedupe source, region dedupe source. Actually, I give a meaning to these 4 models in my data. Then I have description. It can be simple description, like, okay, this is text, this model represents this and that. And then I have set of columns. Also for column, you can have description, like my column ID, but I don't want to do that because we have limited the time. I can introduce the test. You remember we will talk about testing here. In DBT, per column level, you can organize a test and you can put it here. So there is no another external output. There is no another file. There is no another project. No, everything is integrated here outside of the box. And I want to say in other words, for column called ID, I want to check, is it not null or not? For column name, for this model, customer dedupe source, I want to test uniqueness of name, and it should be mandatory column. It's called not null. When I run my test, it will go in this definition and check what I need to check, and then check it for me. So actually, it's a declarative way how you define the tests. Same goes for nation, same goes for orders, and same goes for regions. Also, you can see type of the test, and you can check DBT documentation. But generally speaking, it's not null, unique, referential integrity, and also combination of column for uniqueness. Before, in the older version, you can't combine 2, 3 columns to be unique. Now you can, and you can say, okay, I need unique combination of this column, like ID plus name or something you can think of. Then you can have accepted values. So this is like a data contract. Okay, I have regions with description regions with column ID and plus few more columns, but this is important. It should be unique. It should be not null. And the values I accept is from 0 to 4. If I run this and I have something outside of this domain from 0 to 4, I will get a warning on error because my data is not sufficient as I created this data contract. So good to know. To recap here, you have models, you have sources, YAML file as an input for your models to avoid hard coding, and you have a schema as output and nice description what you want to serve to do your business. Here is where you create a difference comparing to other tools. I'm not advocating for DBT, but generally speaking, if you want to talk to my business, data scientists, machine learning engineers, as I'm a data engineer, I transform the data for them and provide a full explanation here in a very declarative way. So we are speaking the same language and we are understanding each other. Because if you say in region, the dedupe source model, which actually has descriptions regions for them, it's fairly easy to read, and column ID should be unique and not null. And this is the values I accept. This is what I guarantee as a contract will serve to them. So they can expect the clean and good data. Also, we touched the source ID as our preparation for the models to avoid hard coding. Schema YAML is actually our picture. Okay, this is what we create. This is so cool. This is full of data and everything is in good shape. Also, you should document that. I touched the description here. And this is a simple, typical plain text, nothing more than that. For some use cases, you need more enriched markdown notation for your documentation. No problem. You see these Jinja templates here. Square brackets and say doc what? Which section I want to put and transfer here. For that reason, I create empty file. It can be named whatever you want. And I can create a section. nation dedupe source. In other words, if I go to schema and put this notation here, it will actually grab the data from my YAML, from my AMD file. What I can put here, everything that is markdown supported, images, tables, hyperlinks, bold, italic, underline, bulleting, numbering, table, whatever you want. This is full and rich documentation for your DBT models. I can show later how this is generated and what you can do with it. In other words, if you can't support, or this is not enough, and this is definitely not enough for most of the use cases, go and enrich your modeling with documentation. So here you can see the full power of YAML file and Jinja templates, and also markdown documentation, and it's going simultaneously. Under the hood is just a plain text files, and then it's very easy to version or do collaboration. For tests, we describe that. If you go to the schema file, this is the place where you should define the model. So actually, I have a model name. It's actually file name with SQL extension, and that's how I match it. My name is customer dedupe source, and this is my table or incremental load in this case, and this is my schema where I define. Okay, I have SQL, but give some more data, some space and taste and building blocks for this model. This is what I should do. Define description, define the columns, or add description for the columns, define the tests, and define the documentation in details. Everything outside of the box. What I need to do is just run my model. In other words, Markdown is supported if you want to enrich your test cases in your documentation on any level, from general README, model README, or column specification and more description. In that case, let's move forward. Before the break, what I want to show you, I talk a lot about this, so let's see this in action. I have something here, you know the model. What I want to do, I want to store data from raw to prep layer. For that reason, I will use customer dedupe source SQL file. I want to copy file name and want to say to my poetry run DBT run models, and let's run just this model. Before the break, let's decompose what's going on here. I can run all my models in a specific order. DBT will take care about that, but for sake of this use case, a showcase, let me run only this example. What's going on? I'm running DBT. As I said, run only these models, customer dedupe source. DBT will go here, and also we go to the sources, and then go to the schema and try to catch up all details, but will generate this. You see, I'm starting incremental model. So I will also use this incremental to load the data, and everything is done successfully. In between, it creates something called prep.customer dedupe source model in my database. I have logs, and I can check what's going on. Let's go to the bottom. And it's happened. Then you see target folder and run models, prep. Here is my model. This is what DBT will send to Snowflake database. Create or replace transient table. And this happened because I have not this table before. This is initially created. It's actually full refresh. Okay, give me all my data. Next run, we'll do incremental load. Then my SQL is executed, and you see there is no something in between if increment, what I see there. Sorry for Q&A. Yeah, I think in the chat materials are already shared there, but also you can find it. I will drop it before we close this talk, so you can feel free to use it, but it's fairly easy to find. It's called gitlab.com/irbachevich/dbt_tutorial. So if you need more time, okay. No, sorry. Opa. Type. I think this is better. Still learning in this Zoom option. Okay, enjoy. Then let's go back. This is what will be executed, our SQL statement. And then I want to get rid of duplicate data. And in prep layer, give me something newly created. I want to limit 100 records. Oh, it's there. A row. I want to refresh. Prep is here. And only one table is created. I think this is nice feature because you don't need to create or replace prep schema with all this grand la 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 la. DBT is doing that for you. If schema does not exist, we'll create it for you. If model doesn't exist, it will be created for you. If model exists, it will run incremental load. If I run this again, it will run incremental load because table exists. And nothing will happen. Actually, I already pushed all data there. But here, probably this part will be generated because now it is incremental. Something exists and I have the data, and incrementally I want to run and do the magic there. C, same stuff. So this is repeatable stuff. And I want to run only this model. And I have this data again and again. It's running. Let's see what's going on. Probably it's going to check this very close. Oh, it's passing fine. See, this is the same file from target, run, prep, customer, do source. But you see it's a merge statement now. Why? Because I have this command here. And somehow, by default, DBT generated it as a merge statement. I want to only do fine tuning and insert what I didn't insert before. Okay, let's close all other tabs. Right, this is fine. And one more step. Once when I create my model, you remember in schema, I have my tests. And I want to check, is my data valid or not anymore? Instead of run, I want to say test. It means I will not generate the model. I will just run the test. Declaratively, I said ID should be not null, name should be unique and not null. These are the free tests in general. And here I said, okay, run test for my model only. You can run test on the entire project level. We'll do that later. And see, one from free starts and execute my test is okay. Second one is probably okay. Third one is definitely okay. This is a tutorial. Everything should be fine. If you see something red there, it's a problem in that case. See, everything is good. Very easy way to recap before the break. Very easy way to define your logic in one file, to describe your logic in one file, to define the sources from where you want to get the data, also in one file called sources, also to document all your changes and serve it to the business. Regarding the documentation, you're just 2 commands away from fully outside of the box in sync documentation. After that, we should go to the break. About documentation, what we should do. I want to generate everything I defined from this YAML file. This will be done in a second because my project is fairly small. Then I need to serve my generated documentation. I have 7 models only, 1 seed, 15 tests, and 8 sources. So this should be fast. And it's building catalog. Under the hood, what's going on? Everything from YAML file, DBT is taking, digesting, and generate everything in one JSON file. And that JSON file is stored here. You can read JSON, but it doesn't make too much sense. Then I want to serve that JSON file and expose it as HTML dynamic page. So I just run this command, and that's it. We have everything about outside of the project automatically. If I change something in the project and regenerate documentation, it will be in sync again and again. So you can deploy your website one more time. In other words, it's very easy for all of you to collaborate on the project, to keep everything in sync, and you have very rich documentation for your business partners and stakeholders. You don't need to explain to them, okay, you have this page there, you have this explanation here, this is the code. No, everything including the code is here. So I think this is a good time to stop and take some break, maybe 10, 15 minutes. And in, let's say, 15 minutes, we can start. It's 12:15. Moderator, is this okay for you? Tech support stream number 3. What do you think?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, grab a coffee, refresh yourself. We will continue with documentation. We will run our entire project in several ways. And then we will do the magic about how to wrap up everything, how you can do whatever you want, and talk about automatization. So yeah, let's keep in touch, and let's say 10, 15 minutes, we are back. 12, 15, I will continue. Have a great day, and speak soon then. Hey, tech support, I'm back. We'll wait a few more minutes for the folks to get back. I think it's okay, right?
Yes, of course.
Cool. Any question in between, feel free to ask now or put your question in chat. We have a few more minutes before we start again. Okay, everyone, I think we are just on time to get back and continue with our story. And tech support stream 3, I think we're okay to start, right? Blink twice.
Yes, I think it's okay.
Cool, thank you very much. Yeah, great stuff, great stuff. Yeah, we start before the break. I have coffee now, more energy. Suggest you to do the same. We stopped with talk about or start scratch talking about documentation. That's my favorite part because it's probably because I'm a lazy guy. It's fairly easy mechanism to speak with stakeholders in a very unique and, let's say, very synchronous way. You need to run two commands to generate all of this YAML specification or definition into the very nice and posh web page. Based on now catalog in JSON, this page is documented. If you change something, just regenerate the page, deploy it somewhere, you can do automated tools for that. And then you have everything outside of the box for your business. What you can find in documentation, you can have a searchable option to search for models, macros, seeds, constraints, tests, whatever you want, any kind of specification. Sources, you know our guys, 4 of them, 3 table and 1 seed, and row. This is source for prep. Why? Because I have prod layer as well. I didn't generate it yet. And once when I generate the prod layer, you will see all models outside of the box. It's not there yet. So logically, it's not visible yet. In our project, what we have? Seeds, you know our region. You can see the tags, and also you can search everything by tags, which is also good if you want to stay disciplined if your project scale. Then you can see macros. We'll talk about that later, and we can see the models prep and prod. Prep. Here's our guy. We have tags we're using for this model. We have owner. Actually, this is a user from Snowflake DB. See, this is a table. In fact, it's DBT tutorial. It's SQL language. It can be Python as well. And relation and access and contract. And this is the technical stuff about approximation, about size and row counts, 100 to 500 million. This is our description. This is a set of columns, data types, and tests. And means not null, U means unique. And you can find easily the usage for your model. And you can find the tests, dependency, and source. This is actually our source from here, 101. So business partners doesn't need to go here, or data scientists doesn't need to go in your project and see what's going. They don't need technical skills. Just go to this web page. If you're super smart and you want to see how compiled code should look like, just press here to compile. One great feature for super lazy guy like me is visual stuff. Let's go here. Oh, sorry. You can see full lineage on the table or model level from source to the final destination. In our case, it's called top customer. If I go to row customer and can refocus on the node, I can see full lineage from there. If I go to top customer and refocus on the node, I see building blocks for my report. Let's say in some personal flow, we have something called top customer report or model or view. And I want to see what the components are from there. Customer, nation, and audience. Even better, one level deeper, I see the row. You can see very complex lineage here. Don't be scared. This is a very simple model. But if you want to be scared, here is one representation of the model from GitLab. This is actually what we are using. On this address, it's called dbt-gitlabdata.com. It's open source. You can go in and see this documentation. This is very scary because from here to there, many things can happen in between. If something screw up, I need to do a deep dive, check all of these models, most of them, and do the magic and do the fix. Here for you, it's fairly easy because you can easily see what the components are of that. Also, I can go to nation and see the documentation for the nation. And this brings us to the magic markdown support notification. This is not a simple text. This is markdown supported text. You can have a hyperlink, you can have bullets numbering, you can put image, you can put bold, underline, whatever you want. You can also put description on the comment level, including markdown. Also, you can see the test and usage. So either you can type here, press here, or you can go and visualize your dependency on this side. See? Very, very easy to navigate for this page. Why I like this? Because, as I said, this is unique language between technical people and the business. And they can fully understand without touching your code base, without screw up anything or install anything. Just a simple plain web page. And as I said, you're just these 2 commands far away from your documentation. Even better, whatever you touch here will be reflected here after you regenerate your documentation. So actually, I show you the way how you should generate. I show you the lineage and everything, either visually or with hyperlink, how you can connect the dots. Also, as I said, you can go and use your tags. If you have, let's say, 3 data sources, 10 data sources, you can have a tag for each data source. So you can easily, let's say, HR data. You can type HR data and search only by tags, and you see what you have. If I, in my case, I have prep layer, I want to see only what contains tags prep. Or I can combine prep and DBT to something like this. But yeah, let's see product. Up, this is what I have. I can see okay, or search by different criteria. That's the story. I would say this is successful and good story and really good idea. From technical stuff and technical specification, you generate the document. Next stuff in your daily life, you touch the code at least once in your life, you'll see something repeatable. You need to create a routine. In this case, it's called macros. But macros is nothing by procedure or function. It can replace your code, and under the hood, this code will be generated as a part of your model. I think we have Q&A. No. Yeah, this is a good one. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for your question. Just show stop here to follow up on the documentation. Unfortunately, you can't have the column lineage. That's one of the problems with the current transformation tool these days. There are some plugins, I think, but as of now, I think there is no direct lineage using this. We have another tool in our company in GitLab for data observability, where we can actually track the column lineage, but you should pay extra for that. Outside of the box in DBT, there is no that option. But for us, I think it's pretty much convenient and fit our needs to have this kind of dependency here, which is fairly okay. I know I have orders. I want to deploy the source. I assume it's something like the source, and then I can easily search for that. Or even better, I can search for code. But on this level, it's not possible, unfortunately. Probably in the future, I hope they will implement it somehow. I saw some open source tool can overcome that idea, but I wasn't so confident or very happy with the solution. But as I said, one solution we're using is called Monte Carlo for data observability, can do that thing for you. And then let's get back to macros. Code reusability. What does it mean? You see 100 times repeatable, 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 repeatable. You do not need to copy and paste your code. You should find the routine. In this case, it's called macros. What is the building block or building blocks of the macros? I have something called simple CT. If you ever touch SQL, simple CT, it means select star from somewhere, right? This part. And in that case, I have a Jinja template and say macro, name of the macro, input of the macro, it will be tuple list. And I want to generate the code. So actually, behind this, I will have select star from all of my tables. Let's see where we use this simple CT. I want to find usage here. In my top customer report, you remember that from the documentation. Here we go. Here we go. Instead of typing select star from customer, then select star from nation, select star from orders, I have this. Also, good thing about using the macros as much as possible, you can easily change the logic of your code without touching the models. You can imagine if you have 5K models, number of models, and you change that simple CT here, it's much easier for you. You can add where or close, you can add order by, and so on and so on. Up to you. Of course, you can easily test that. Even better, same rules apply for the macros as it comes for the models. I can describe everything in very declarative way using macros.yaml file with small help of Markdown. I create section simple CTE and put some documents about very simple way to expose and use the macros. Sorry, we have Q&A one more time. Oh yeah, done. No, it was the same. Sorry, Max. With this construction, I can easily say, go to my doc and expose me simple CT section. And then I can expose the arguments. In other words, if I go to my project and go to macros and find my simple CT, I have full documentation how to use that. This also brings very full transparency and reusability of the code. It means I can easily take over this to another developer, and that developer can easily understand what I'm doing, what was my intention, and how to use the code. In other words, if I'm creating my top customer report, I can easily use simple CT. Let's do something like DBT, sorry, poetry, run DBT, run. Build. Let's build the entire project. I will show you the difference between run and build later. Very cool feature. One. Oh. Where I am. Oh, I need to go one deeper and do the same. In a few seconds, we'll generate all objects. For the reason I want to show you what will happen if I run top customer.sql. If I go to target, I run models, prod in this case, because top customer is a report for the business. It's called top customer. Here we go. I ran it before. In other words, this becomes this when it's generated by DBT code, and this will be sent to the server. In our case, Snowflake. Very, very easy to maintain this part. Let's say in our use case, sometimes you will generate report based on 20, 25 models, and do not type it 25 times with the same stuff. Use macro. Of course, for some advanced feature, you can use macro as well. This is just a simple example. Let's imagine you want to pivotize the data. You want to create a star schema. You want to do dimensional modeling, or even better, I want to track my Snowflake spends because I'm using Snowflakes and we need to pay for that. There is one package outside of the box with full of macros. You just install the macros and then you will get few of them, and all dimensional modeling with report generating for Snowflake spend will be there outside of the box. So it's a plugin based tool. Here you see it's going fine. I check everything and then I build my project. This will happen under the hood. Instead of repeatable code, DBT will do that for me. I'm using simple CT macro. And I have full documentation supported for that. In case you have 100 macros, it will be located here, so anyone in the business can use it. Also, you can divide it in separate folders, depends on the logic you're using, what your intention is, maybe for some department specifically, or very some special use case. Why macros are good? In our case, in company, we have a use case to mask and, let's say, pseudo-anonymize the data based on the data type or value of the column. We do that generically using macros. Let's say, in case it is an email column, mark it like this. If it's a number column showing us some numbers, do a different masking policy. Or if it's a name and surname, do a different masking policy, etc. Or if you're admin, data are masked. If you're a simple user, data are masked for you. And that fine-tuning and granulation should also be realized very simple in macros. If you switch from one database to another, you don't need to change anything. Your logic is here outside of the box. So that's the story, very short, very brief about code reusability and the best practice in DBT using macros. Now, of course, we build many things. We want to run the project. How we should run the project? You see a couple of times here, I run some magic and something happened, like run command, test command, build command. There are plenty of options to run actually what you want in your project. This is a basic run. It said DBT run. And if I run it, all models will be generated. Whatever I have in documentation should be run when I press that command. Of course, it's not the perfect world all the time. Or if I run test, it will test all of my data. So I need a fine tuning. Let's play a bit with one model and few options how to do that. If I say run -- models, it means I specify one or set of model in a very specific way what I want to run. If I run this top customers, it means I will run top customers model only. And this is a view and it will be generated in a second. And probably I will see everything is green here. I don't expect any problem. See, just view is generated under the hood. Even better, if I change top customer to be config incremental table, it will be generated as a table. So I'm just one command far away to redefine my config, and dropping and recreating will be done under DBT supervision. Sometimes I want to run top customers, but if you go to lineage and documentation and see top customers and see components I need to run that model, and I have this. What will happen if I have a row without prep? This will fail because I don't have customer dedupe source, nation dedupe source, order dedupe source. For that reason, there is a magic word called plus. On the left side of top customers, if I define running like this, I will run this model, but this plus allow me to see all upstream models should be created first. Because we are using reference, we talked about that before, like here. DBT is capable to catch reference and automatically generate the lineage. So that's the magic and trick under the hood. So that's also one of plus reasons to use reference instead of hard coding. And if I set models plus top customer, this acyclic graph will be created automatically and order of execution will be done by DBT, not by us. So you just need to declare your command, same as SQL, very declarative way. If I run top customer with plus on the left side, it means all upstream models, including top customer. In some cases, you should change one model only, and you want to run new structure. Without touching other models can be costly in case you have a few thousands of them. You can run only this sub lineage, if I can say like that. And also, what will happen? 4 models will be run. 1, 2, 3, and 4. These raw data are already in, so no worries about that. You see, prep customer dedupe source will be generated. Then nation, then orders, and then at the end, top customers. You see, this is a little bit big. 2 from 4, run success, and so on and so on. At the end, this view will be generated. After a few seconds, you will see the result. That's also a good technique if you want to save some money for you and the company. You can run only what you need. Other way around is to run downstream models. What does it mean? I change something here, and I want to run all downstream models on the right side. It means top customer is impacted. If I add column here, something here also will be changed. So I don't need to worry if I break up or create some mess for me and the team. I want to run customer dedupe source on the plus downstream models. And then you will see I need to put plus on the right side. Okay, this is fine. All models are there. Let's clear this. And I will say, okay, this will create the dedupe source orders the dedupe source order. But with the plus, it will be orders the dedupe source plus all downstream models. It can be more than 1. It can be 10 models, 100 models, whatever. You can have 5 levels in deep here, which is also good because you don't need to think about that. You just need to focus on your business and your changes. All technical stuff will be run automatically. If you put plus on both sides, it means both upstream, that model, and downstream model. So this is still running. This is kind of a bigger one. I think it's 15 million records, around 500 records. So that's the reason why I take a couple of seconds. We talk about tags in the beginning of our course and why tags are important. You can easily distinguish or divide in your project what is important for each business partner. If I work in HR department, I want to see HR data, not billing data. If I work in finance, I want to see billing data and probably invoices or payment system, something like that. If I work in engineering, I'm probably most interested in my product. So with tags, a good discipline about tag, you can run only what you need. And also you can see only what you need. If you're going here in documentation, you're from HR, just type HR tag and you will see only your piece of business. Also, it's allowable to select and run per tag only. So if I want to generate my reports, which I know actually it's located in prod, what I have here, DBT project YAML, I said, okay, for everything in prod, put prod tag. In other words, give me only prod schema generated. This can be much more complex, of course, but still very simple to show you the showcase. I have 7 models, but actually just 3 of them, if I'm not wrong, contains prod label or prod tag, and it will be generated only for these 3 models. I think 2 of them are view, 1 is table, and then boom, prod, orders per country report, sales per year report, and our well-known top customer friend will be generated. See, this is a view, this is a table, and top customer is actually a view. This is the way how I easily distinguish what I want to run. You can play as much as you want with this. Also, in our case, everything is scaled, everything is complex. We have many, many things to consider. And then when we run this command like this, it becomes like exclude and include and run this folder and run this package, la, 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 la. This becomes a sausage and it becomes very difficult to maintain this code. And for that reason, in DBT, to do something called selectors. And selector means, okay, I want to put my sausage in one YAML file. You saw it here. And then I will run only selector name. In my case, it's called prep only. I want to run only prep layer, or I want to run only prod layer. What is the difference? I have definition and rules, and it's very nicely ordered, and it's easy to maintain, it's readable, and it's really human readable, so you can easily maintain the entire things. And in that case, you will not run the sausage, you will say selectors and the selector name. In my case, it's called prep only. What will happen now? I will run only prep layer stuff. I will run only tag like this. If you translate it in the similar command, it will be the previous one, like run, select, tag, exclude, da, 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 da. You can imagine if you have 10 conditions. Fairly easy to say, okay, prod, no prod. Cool. In a few seconds, I create a selector called prod only. I think I made a mistake here, but we'll see. And this is also a good feature you can play with. And it's very, very good to start early with selectors and tags and avoid very long sausages. So this is example of using selectors. Very good, very nice feature. Also one of the best practice technique you can use because you specify DBT run selector prep only, and that's it. What is inside the logic, no one cares. I mean, no one cares because you should define the rules here. If you change the rules, your code will do the same, but with different config and preferences. Then, what we talk about, we can run tests only. Let's say I created my project, run my project, everything run fine. I want to test. I can specify test one model, as we did before, all test the entire project. If I run this, in a few seconds, I will see the shape and states of my data. If something is wrong, it will be a problem. I think also now it's perfect time to crash this project a bit. See, whatever I define in my models prep, it will be tested here. DBT actually generates a SQL statement based on the logic here, like something is unique, something is not null, something is allowed values. And it's pass, which is cool. With 15 tests, of course, for the sake of this tutorial, everything should be fair. But let's break a thing a bit. For each individual source, you know our seed here. I have key from 0 to 4, and I said also to my contract, okay, my values are from 0 to 4. Let's do like this. I want to deliberately make this crash. Just wait for my test finish. Okay. You see how things are going in a perfect world. Everything is cool. I change the specification here and run the same test again, and it will fail. You see DBT, Snowflake, I can run 15 tests, everything is cool, so I want to run test on 1, 2, 3, 4, it will start again, but it will fail. And then you will see the different result. Why this is so nice? Because you can easily find the problem in your data. It's not about transforming the data. It's also about checking shape, quality, and let's say accuracy of your data. It's your job as a data engineer. Yep. Yeah, this is a good one. No, I would say, generally speaking, in short, the question is, can you run tests only on subset sample of data in a table? View is table is huge. Directly, no, because you can't check the uniqueness of subset of the data. You need to do a full table scan, right? What can be the good overcoming of this. If you want to run tests only on sample of the data, you can have a very large table, as we have in our company. It can be a couple of terabytes. Then we create a view or table with the sample data and then run the test of that small sample data, because you can create derivation of the model. For instance, let's go to documentation. Sorry for that. Let's do the lineage. This is a large one, zillion rows. I want to do test on partial data. I can create for you with sample data or some criteria and then run test here. But do this, let's say, partial test here is not allowed. I don't know the reason. I mean, I know the reason technically, because how you should check the uniqueness of the small sample of the data. Create a view and run the test of that view. Probably that's kind of workaround on that solution, but there is no direct command to do that, as far as I know. Maybe I'm wrong. We can check, but still, that's the catch. And also, let's get back to our test cases. Finally, something is red, and it means it's not okay. You can easily see the result of your test, okay? And it said, accepted values, region, the dupe source, ID, false. No. And you can find the results here. Then you can easily go in Snowflake and find the problem. Like, okay, region, the dupe source is here. What I have, ID from 0 to 4, and I say it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. And this will put everything in a good shape. So you can play at this with it and be more restrictive. This is, as I said, just the basic stuff. You can see the full documentation about how you should implement the test. Also, it can be something advanced now in DBT in the latest version with option of the test. If something is null and you said it will be mandatory column, not null, you will get an error. Then drawback, if you are using run plus test command. So run plus test is good combination, but a bad combination at the same time. Why? If you run something, you have 2K models and you have a large and strong dependency, and then you run test, what will happen? If my model failed, my DBT will not stop. It will continue to run with that run command. These days, luckily, DBT introduced something called DBT build. And it said DBT build. I can build one model, few models, or entire project, or per tag. But what is the main difference? If you're using build, it will run model per model, then test after each model, snapshot and seeds. It means build will do general model, generate tests, general model, general test. If something failed, my load will stop. This is a money saver, time saver, and also resource for human beings saver. Why? If something fails, it will stop immediately. If you want to continue, then you should use run instead of build. But for us, in this case, build is a good option. I like it because it combines best of the both worlds. You have your model creation as per definition, you have your test immediately, and also you can do a filtering of the running option as you want. This, in other words, it said, okay, run the model, order the dupe source, downstream and upstream. I have plus on both ends, plus run the appropriate test on both ends. And in case something failed, please stop. That's actually the translation into plain English when you run build command. Also, you should consider this as a best practice. So I would say in my world, in a perfect world, build with selectors and proper testing can do many, many things for you automatically. See, I'll run 5 models here because orders the dupe source has a couple of dependency both downstream and upstream. And when this is done, you are ensuring you have a really good contract with the business partners, what you should deliver to them. When I say business partners, I mean real business to visualize data or some engineers from ML, data science, AI world. Yep. Yep. Hi, Michelle again. I will try to answer live here. Probably this will be interesting for all of them. There is no silver bullet solution for this. As I said, check the documentation for some advanced topics. Also, what can be the good option for large integers? Okay, here I show you 4 or 5 of them, which is fairly easy to, I mean, even visually you can check that. If you have a few millions of them, then you can use a referential integrity type of test. I mean, you should switch the kind of the test. Probably if you have zillion IDs, integers, text, whatever, you should create some table and then we'll say, okay, check referential integrity for this column on that table. It's a typical, if you know, RDBMS system, relation database system is a typical foreign key checks. And it's outside of the box built in RDBMS. Here in DBT, you should create a separate way or kind of check, and then that referential integrity will be tested automatically. So I would say for this use case, much bigger, use table, use referential integrity. If we have continuous values from some numerical float and we want to test the range between some two values, also with that, I think there is one option how you can test between this and that, but I'm not sure. Most of the things you should test that. Of course, DBT is not primarily test tool, it's transformation tool with some set of tests with limitation, to be honest, but please check documentation. So I think somehow I answer your question if it's okay. In your case, I will go for a referential integrity check. I hope it helps somehow. Then we cover the various way how you should build your project or part of the project. Please refer to this README for more details. I know it's fairly easy to overlook or forget, and it's extremely hard with all this information to digest it in 1.5 hours. But please, when you have time, go here, see what you type, see what will happen, and try to understand what's going on. When you understand what's going on, then you can easily extend your knowledge and move on. Also understand what means upstream, what means downstream, what means both downstream and upstream, and what is the difference between run and build command, and also why you should use selectors. These are the techniques I want to share with you as a best practice after many years of suffering, how you can save your life regarding the very efficient execution and check of your project. Then you generate documentation, you generate the model, you create your nice project, you started, you're so happy, everything is cool. What is next? I mean, definitely most primitive solution is to run your project on demand, like, okay, poetry run DBT build and build your project, and it can be time consuming. Another way is to do some kind of automation. There are plenty of ways to do that. Also, when you start, think big, start small. Cron in Linux is more than sufficient way to automate your pig. Of course, many of orchestration tools these days, we are using Airflow and GitLab, or you can use Duckster, and you can easily put your command to be scheduled. Also, in Airflow, you can say, I have one project, but I want to run in 10 ways, like HR data, billing data, finance data, this and that data, or generate report. Based on your needs, try to scale in a wise way and be cost efficient. It's fairly easy just to turn on your resources, do a full refresh every day, and you will get bankrupt. Be smart, be wise, start small. My suggestion to you, if you don't have any experience with these two tools, start with cron. Cron your command and say, okay, DBT build each day. How things are scaling, you should adjust it, and you can easily iterate on this process. And then you can easily extend, let's say, where are you? Selectors, put more selectors, put some fine tuning, divide jobs, put some logic based on lineage and things like that. Main advice here is to cron it first, later on how things are going bigger, scalable and complex and fairly hard and difficult to maintain, or you hire more people and this become a teamwork, a team sport, move to something more serious like Airflow Duckster. In our case, in our company, we're using Google Kubernetes Engine with Airflow and then run our DBT jobs. As I said, we have 200, 500, 600 something jobs or models with all appropriate tests, few thousand tests, and everything is going fine. Now we're trying to decouple the jobs because it's too big to run every day. So we need to somehow make it tighter, make it better, make it more efficient. And then after that, let's conclude. What's next for you? My advice, I don't want to pretend I'm smart, I just have some experience and suffer a lot using this and try to digest the best option for you. You can use this project as your baseline to play a bit and to discover more and more things. I guarantee outside of the box, if you follow this README about installation, setup, testing, and running, you can easily do whatever you want, literally. But start small and be wise. Even better, if you don't want to pay for Snowflake or for some reason you don't like it or you want to use another base, I suggest to try with DB. Why? Because if I go to my project definition, just on the monitor, and say, I don't want to use Snowflake anymore. I want to use DB. And I put raw data in DB. It's just a simple file and build it. It will be done in a second. See? Something is skipped. Oh, yeah. Yes. But my target now is DB. Or I can run seed first. Great. And I can build my project. So it's easily to switch. So try. Oh, all green. And if I go not here, but here. Second. Where is my setup? See, I have top customers. I have my report. So actually what I did, I just upload the source file before this tutorial, switch the database from one to another. Of course, it will not work all the time 100%, but yeah, I just want to show you the power, how easily this is your single source of truth. And you can easily switch. Of course, you need to determine your database, but still fairly easy to move on. Then, what's next? Download this, play a bit, check the documentation, and move on based on your needs. Start small, think big, because this is a scalable solution. About the resources, all you need and what we are talking about today is on this address, actually here. I think someone from organizer side already dropped this in chat, but yeah, if you want to write it down, you want to visit, please do so. Also, you have a prior recorded session, and I hope organizer will record this one too and share that with me, then I will share it with you. So in your own pace and comfort of your house, office, apartment, nice beach, you can learn more about this. That's the point. So let's recap one more time what we support or what we are doing today. I try to share the passion about the DBT, the rising transformation tool. In ETL or ELT process world, for T, you have a great free solution. I forgot to mention, but I will highlight that part now. DBT is open source tool, and what we're doing today is actually command line interface. You can pay for that and have outside of the box cloud option, but if you're a technical person, command line interface can do the thing for you. We are running $1 million business in GitLab, and we have more than 30 million customers and registered users, and we are doing everything using command line. So probably it's the same tool can fit your needs, except you're extremely big company. So feel free to use it as an open source, change it. And also there are a set of plugins you can find on the internet for some kind of well-known use cases or well-known providers like Salesforce, Zuora, I don't know. I can't remember all of these. Snowflake Span. You can find outside of the box and you can do up and running for your use case. That's the catch. Then create a project for your needs, move on and automate the stuff. Everything is for free. This is probably the best time to be alive regarding the tech tutorials and the acquiring the new knowledge, because everyone is for free. You can easily ping anyone on the internet, and literally definitely all of them will provide some answer for you. Finally, I'm Radovan Bacovic. I'm working as a staff data engineering company called GitLab. Among many tools I'm using, DBT is one of my favorite, and that's the reason I'm passionate to share my knowledge and best experience with you. But of course, this is never-ending journey. If you think something is unclear, something is wrong, something we need to cover in the next few days or next workshops more, or we need to get rid of some data, please scan this QR code, find me on LinkedIn. I'm more than eager to communicate to you regarding DBT and the data world. As I said, we have a plenty of tools we are using, and some of them are really, really so hot, so interesting. One of them is definitely DBT. So before we close this, I just want to say the huge thank you to all of you. This is the great way to start this very long conference, and also I will provide a talk on Friday. Please join me in South Central Belgrade. I will be live there. And yeah, I hope you will enjoy. Now it's your turn to take a mic and ask me in the chat or organize this, anything what you want to know more regarding DBT. So now I think we can officially start with Q&A session. More than happy to answer your questions. Okay, tech support.
Okay, thank you, Radovan, for your tutorial on DBT. It was very educational, and thank you everyone for watching the tutorial. So bye. The next tutorial will be held at 1:30, just so you know. That's it.
Okay. So I'm open for any question here. If you have no question, find me on LinkedIn, type few words, tell me what can be better, definitely. Of course, have some nice words about this. If you don't like it, please forgive me. I try my best to do that. I hope you enjoy and have a great time as I. Happy coding and good luck with that. See you soon then. Bye-bye.